speech and body.
So live embody some embody tengo. Embody tena. You want to know you are embody tengo. Ne embody tengo. Some embody tengo. Ne embody tengo. Tena some ne embody tengo. Payama. Some embody tengo. Some embody tengo. Some embody tengo. Ne kagom is milas. Tini what you think is the game.
So it's very important for us to, you can say, to remove this, like gross level of disturbance when we are engaging in the karma-binding mind. So at that time, especially when you are engaging in the karma-binding mind, it's very important for you to practice that in such a place which is really quiet and peace. It's away from city. And once you are away from this kind of very, like noisy place, and it's really help you to more concentrated. So that's why it's very important to be you can say, away from the cities. But the more important is that even though in the city, whatever, with noisy place, the way your mind should be very pinpointed.
어떤 인상은 하루다 들이서 나가서 나가서 맞대는 이제 다가고 막또 도왔다면 이제 치료도 얼마나 또 다른 거 지금 고용적으로 해서는 대담지 지난도 야다죠. 얘네 대랑 주변에도 랑 주고 시발도 너무 많아. 승진도 마사 막 어시와 이거 되고싶은 거
So anyhow, if you practice that for the sake of liberate oneself from samsara, and that is being never considered as the Mahayana teachings, because one who practice to liberate oneself from samsara, and that time he only think about himself or herself. So because that they never consider, you can say consider for the benefit of other beings. So that's why we say that it's not a Mahayana teaching, or we say it's not a Mahayana thought.
다가고 마도 타바나랑 진진도 가서 다 진진 시비들래 진진 시도가 말아. 아주 그래 안에 진진 대답한테 대답이 있으면 다 진진도 뭐 다시 고마워를 때 다 진진 여러 편 말아. 아야 나 진진 하냐. 나 진진 할 때도 저는 대화심을 좋아하면 나도 좋아하면.
So once, like one who practice just for the sake of self-liberation, and that time, it's true that one is liberated. That's only for the one who liberate. How he liberated from samsara is that because he just the one he is practicing that instead of such a motivation only to liberate oneself, and he didn't have such a greater motivation just for the sake of other beings. So that's why we say that it's not included in the part of Mahayana tradition. Even one who liberated from the samsara, or even who acquire a self-liberation, and which is not equivalent to that of, you can say, the part of accumulation from the perspective of Mahayana teaching. So that's why the ones who is unable to eradicate the self-cherishing thought, then who is no way and no chance to enter into the Mahayana path, even with the path of accumulation. So from the perspective of Mahayana, the main negation, or can say the main thing to eliminate is the self-cherishing thought. So that's why we say that there is no way, no chance to enter into the, you can say, included in the part of Mahayana teaching.
제가 추고 힘을 가르치는 신신지 관하는 저랑 진리가 잡혀 신신지 연습 때문에 가지고 신신지 정보는.
So when we practice the Mahayana teachings, we always focus one thing, that is to cherish others. And we always focus one thing, to remove the self-cherishing thought. So until or unless one is unable to remove or eradicate the self-cherishing thought, there's no way and no chance to one to be in the Mahayana
소외길에 라한선의 쇼심보이나 아니 대과심보 제야가 최대다 대과심보 최대비에 아니 대과심보는 마크이 제대로.
So once we are practicing Mahayana, like teaching or practice, in that time, check yourself. If you have a self-judging thought, even though you are practicing Mahayana practice, but the yourself is not included in the Mahayana because the presence of that self-judging thought in within you or in within ourselves.
대과심보 최시고 이모들은 나랑 빌라랑 전세다 현재된 가라망아도 대하고 있어. 라한선의 현재된 가라망아도 가지고 소득을.
So from the minor perspective of view, they always just to balance that which quality that we have more, the quality of self-cherishing thought or the quality of cherishing others.
저 현재도 먹어도나 원래 전에 시간을 가면 내가 원래 다시뭐 이기는데 가사에 다시뭐 찾으려 이랬어.
So the ones we are able to find that we have a more point of self-cherishing thoughts in ourselves, and then this very particular mind of that being is regarded as very sacred and very holy, and as well as the form that he has, to which dwell the mind that cherishing others is really become very sacred.
저한테 진짜 다들 신지를 로를 안 길어 섬지감자 길어 길어서는 저번에 마도도 먹어도 다음에 쉬기는 거 말아. 좋아지는 거로.
So once we are able to generate cherishing, you can say the cherishing to others, then there is no way to have a war, conflicts, battles, and so forth in this beautiful planet of Earth. So that's why it's very important for us to generate cherishing others.
어쨌든 나는 있냐면 강한 세월들은 진실이야 경다야 등 신지들이야 관여관도 배야가서도 굴롱제리는 대화심과 굴롱제리요.
So whatever the practice that we do, and if we always engage in such a way that to neglect cherishing thought and to develop cherishing others, this kind of thought, then we are really practice Mahayana tradition.
다 신지들 있잖아요. 이제 사람들은 자주 웃으면 무슨 메시지라고 해야 되나 이거.
So once you happen to be engaged in cherishing others, and for that we are no need to say in a very concrete word like it is a bodhisattva act, but which is categorized in such a form that which is the act of bodhisattva, or we can say body mind. So once we are able to have or to generate such a thought like cherishing others, once you have this kind of mind, once you are reaching such a level of that, then if you sleep or you drink or if you do whatever, then it's your profit. So once you have once you reach in this kind of state, and that time if you do drink a lot of drinks and intoxicated, and it's not being included in the form of negativities, and it's a positive, because you already reach in such a level that you have such a level and you have such an energy that you can cherishing others in spontaneously, continuously. When you have this kind of state of mind, then if you do intoxication, whatever, and it's not transported into the negative activities.
玄学这个里面吧，这让现在前呢，现在没要我们叫做多那些对的呢，贴下来什么。
So, excuse me. So, if you meditate, when you have such a mind to self-cherishing thought, if you do meditation day by day, year by year, like just continuously, like without any moving, like immovable or just stand relaxed tree, then it's nothing.
我就现在的告诉他是，让自己那边他觉得把这点现在这个什么的结啊个程度，你就告诉他不用注意，能听我讲不用钱的，能告诉他注意啊，不用注意了是，这个就叫注意呢。现在他就结了，吃到注意的呢，你过了注意啊，不用。
So, it's very important to identify the biggest enemy from the perspective of Mahayana is self-cherishing thought. So that's why, so when you listen to the teaching, when you practice Dharma, and that very moment, every moment, continuously, it's very important for us to set aside a motivation to cherish others. And that is the proper teaching of Mahayana.
他听在看什么？就虽然他讲是南边嘛，其实南边的他们我都在段地地了，那么多推荐有嘛的是。
那
需要南边的。
So, to understand that, and what I'm going to teaching you is a lamp on the path to enlightenment. So, actually, it's a long course, but I will teach you very briefly, concisely, and very, somewhere very keen. So, if you ask, and who composed that? And that is Atisha.
Atisha is not true. So much when I don't have a mama so you Palian, run since it may occur, changing the Jamba.
So, if you ask, who is Atisha? And Atisha is such kind of sentient being that from the very birth till up to his death, and he didn't acquire such a quality like self-cherishing thought. And he has only quality that cherishing others. So it's very clear that even though he was born in such a wealthy family, such a well-known king, he was born as a prince, but he's not attached to these sensual things. So he detached, he left out all those things, and he practiced, and he accomplished such a quality that he can cherish others. So that's why we can say that. Through that we can prove that, and he acquired such a quality to cherishing others. So, for example, for us, if we happen to be like in such condition like Atisha, so I don't think so that there's no way, no chance to remember or just to get an idea to do this kind of practice. But even though Atisha was born in such a, status, the king that is well known, all over the areas, but even though he had this kind of belongings and this kind of power and everything is in his hand, but he left. Why? Because he didn't find any meaning for that. So he actually practiced to cherishing others.
어디 인자 달람도 로고 치고 김나빙 그래. 아티샤 코란 세라나시 지기 달금이게 있다 지금.
So that's why it's not necessary to go particularly for the, you can say, the text like lamp on the path to enlightenment. You can take the example of Atisha. Just read Atisha, just know Atisha, just understand Atisha, and that is the teaching of lamp on the path to enlightenment.
아티샤 생각도 그런 충만해. 더바연도 농구 있는데 니야. 더바연도 니야. 누구를 중요하고.
So Atisha, the special characteristic of Atisha is that from the very birth, and he has such a such a imminent transmissions, and he's got such a wisdom that he can understand in the life. So that is a special characteristic of Atisha.
that's about the way and did it. I'm going to integrate. That people should do GDC, the Java, thousand. To it, any bit more developed, see down and what I'll learn some charts when a cabinet, the never a cabinet, the kilowatt, no way in never.
So just in brief, so how we acquired such a, you can say, so how we acquired, you can say, the quality of transmission is in such a way that even though he didn't practice, even though he didn't, encounter in learning process, but he got such a knowledge of Tantrayana, Sudriyana, and this kind of all, you can say, like Anuvati Yoga, and so forth, and as well as he got such an imminent understanding of Tibetan grammar and literatures and so forth, and as well as he has such an understanding of these, you can say, Hindus, Vedas, and so forth. So in that place where, so, and that's why he didn't engage in the learning process, still he can understand all the, natures of all those things really well, so he can compete with the, you can say, the Hindus. So he really compete with them. So even though he didn't learn the Hindu Vedas so forth, but he can debate with them through that own prospect. So through this way we say that he acquired an imminent of oral, you can say, transmission understandings.
Then they thought, so the Tobayan Lavasuna part to it, Lavasuna Tina, Lavasuin Lavani, make to be a Tazir, Soda Sansena, Soda the Sanjo, Simba Sadunde, Kazota, Soda the Batang, Sanjo Simba Lodin and Gaman, so Tanga the Chanson, the Chanson about Nizer Timbu, Mr. Chikin, the Sunyanga of Basun, Gaman, Kazi. Timbu the garage in a fancy, Ganesh into an another shad, don't shadow, shadow, go dust a bason of a shadow which we got shadow of the Magosan.
So anyhow, the Atisha acquired such a knowledge of three trainings, especially the first one, the moral discipline. So within the moral disciplines, and he said that he never lose any kind of, you can say, he never made any mistakes, especially for the, you can say, the precept of self-liberations. And he get, sometimes, and in terms of, you can say, Bodhisattva was, and he happened to make such a small mistakes, and while he made a mistakes, and he understood that he made a mistake, and he do purification and confession at that very right moments. And also, you can say, the precept of and also you can say precept of Tantrayana, and he do made some mistakes, but the right moment he understand that he made a mistake and he purified it. In this way, we say that he really is something extraordinary and an example for everybody that he's, like special person and special, you can say, Bodhisattva. So that's why I told you before that to understand Atisha, to know Atisha. So through this way, if you understand Atisha, which means that you practice Lamb on the path to enlightenment. So that's why I don't feel that we have to go each and every word of Lamb on the path to enlightenment if we understand the Atisha's qualities, Atisha's wisdom. So in terms of concentration, so Atisha got such a, like a talent in the concentration, especially in and Atisha had such a talent in the concentration, especially you can say we have no need to explain about the karma parting mind, how he you can say meditate on the karma parting mind is something really rather you can say no need to explain the way he did it. It's really beautiful, not a beautiful. It's really like wonderful, and especially he got such a understanding and such a knowledge of the you can say tantra is really rather appreciable and is something very imminent, and it's really you can say exemplary one. So, in within the three, this training of mind, Atisha is famous in, especially the famous in practicing the you can say Bodhisattva precept. So for that he had encountered in he encountered in 12 long years to practice that one. That's why he is famous for like Bodhisattva practice. So that's why we used to call him the great Bodhisattva. Yeah. So he get the you can say Bodhisattva practice or Bodhisattva teachings from Lama Atisha. So after that, and he really practiced the Bodhisattva wars. So that's why he's famous for Bodhisattva practice. So that's why you can say all over the areas, and he's famous for in such a name that great Bodhisattva, another name of Atisha. So not only he meditate or to get the teaching of Bodhisattvas, you can say 12 years from Lama Atisha, as well as, and he get the teaching of exchanging oneself with others. So, and he spent such a time, and he engaged in such a hard activities. But for example, for us, do you think that is possible for 1 year? I don't think so. Even one day for us. So not only a 1 day, one session. Still that we say that we are receiving the teaching of Lamrim. So while examining Atisha, by understanding the quality of Atisha. So if we say that we are teaching lumbering and we are listening lumbering, then I really feel that little bit of shy, because when we understand Atisha already now, his qualities and his talents and everything. So if we say that I'm teaching them, like a lamp on the path to enlightenment, then I feel like it seems like a job for me, because Atisha's understanding is incomparable to our understandings, for my understandings. And his origins are incomparable to
Atisha nyane dujin ti duje me wa dan do lam de shi gi ji mo ta ne. Atisha ko kuna nyane shi ga yu chaman chik dan do me wa dan do lam de shi gi ji ne shen ge mo ta.
So I feel it's really, really, like a little bit ashamed, because, as compared to Atisha, I don't have any practice of one dot, like one single atom. As compared to Atisha, I don't have a practice still. Still, if I say that I'm teaching that lamp on the path to enlightenment, then it seems a little bit nervous.
Then Lama Shira Lama when it and Konchog Tongwa in Betawa, Pane Saja Simbore, Unet and Navy Kasota. She Magan bed the double to be king and by one internet, Chomo to the Palatinus, Shiro Sarina.
So, in terms of, you can say, wisdom, and from the Mahayana point of view, and he really understands.
Tawa Sensen. And you at Tawander, Tawa Tradu, Tavana, the Tavana and Tawa Trasho, and you at Tawa. What to look at you at Tawa Toma, but most of the city, the young man, and the city that was never to watch was in the Palotan. To the command.
So, in terms of wisdom point of view, the Atisha is something like that. He can understand the most subtlety of the Prasangika Madhyamika view. And sometimes this view we used to call Mahamudra. From the Prasangika Madhyamika perspective view, he understands that. And not only that, and he have a practice of that understanding. So that's why the wisdom aspect of the Atisha is something really incomparable, and really is incomparable to us.
Atisha's Manyaman can do by Chogoji, Manyaman, you to go in Sana Suyomers, Nimjunjios.
So, in reality, Atisha never said that, or practiced that and that. He's just as simple and humble. And when you come across Atisha, and he's more like a very simple and very humble man. And not that he never said that I practice this and that. And he always considers, even though he got such a knowledge, such understanding, but he never let down the other sentient beings. He always considered to other sentient beings. He respected other sentient beings. He regarded other sentient beings just hide in him, always, all the time. So he has such a love and you can say an understanding to other sentient beings in such a way that if he happen to throw a stone to one dog, and in the very moment he feels that I just throw a stone to my mom, so he got such a a regard and such a love to all sentient beings. So for us, it's really hard to consider that we can say leave out the all sentient beings, even for human beings, and we have a lot of biasness and partialities, just, like, so we are hard to believe that all human beings as our mother and father, whatever, because we have a lot of part and discriminations. So he is such a human being that he got a love and compassion to the numberless of all human beings. And not only that he, we can say, flourish, not only he engaged in the activities just to flourish the truth, this kind of dharma in Tibet, he also performed a lot of, we can say, activities of dharma activities he's shown in all over India. So in terms of Tibet, whenever we happen to be here, the tradition named Kadamba, and there always comes Atisha there. Yeah. And he is the one who founded the Kadam tradition in Tibet. So he's the most eminent disciple of Atisha is from Tamba.
다 가능한데 데 아디샤 별이야 되는데 좋은 사람은 지원의 전주 뭐니 때문에 그냥 수업 매는 중이 별이야 안다 본데 미리 수업 매도 중에 아빠네 아디샤사 된지 쉬어있어.
So how Atisha came to Tibet is that it's really a very tragic. And there are two brothers, Geshe and Changjube. So to invite Atisha from India to Tibet to flourish Buddhism in Tibet, and for that, the elder brother Geshe, he caused his life. He spent his life because he was captured by, non-Buddhists there, and to, we can say, to liberate him from the prison, and that king, the non-Buddhist king, said that, and he, so there are a lot of arguments, whatever. The actual thing is to invite Atisha to Tibet. It cost the life of the elder brother Geshe. So all these are come through in, you will come across in Lamrim, so you can know all those things. So, a lamp on the path to enlightenment was composed by Atisha in Tibet, in the western part of Tibet, where the monastery called Toling is a monastery was constructed by the Geshe's younger brother Changjube, and Changjube was the first king or the followers of Atisha who received the teaching of a lamp on the path to enlightenment. So when Atisha reached the western part of Tibet, the Toling monastery, and then the younger brother Changjube supplicated to Atisha that and give us the teachings, such teaching that can understand by all over Tibet, and which can benefit all over the, you can say, the human beings here who really in need of that kind of teachings. So, and Atisha gave us such a teachings, and this teaching is the lamp on the path to enlightenment, which categorize refuge, karma, and so forth. And later on, which is become very benefits to all the Tibetans in Tibet. So you know, when Atisha come from India, and he got such a thought that the younger brother Changju might ask him that to give us such a profound and such very difficult kind of teachings. He had such a mind like that. When he reached there, in reality, and Changju, and he asked such a teaching that which can benefit, which can understand by the three level of people, you know, like the grassroots level of people, middle, and the first class. That the teaching which can benefit all Tibetans, and the moment when he heard the Changju is, you know, like seeking, you know, then he really, Atisha really feels unhappy and calmness, and he really, you know, like made his mind, and he really gave us such a teaching, and that teaching is, you know, like lamp on the path to the enlightenment. So the specialty of the teaching of the lamp on the path to enlightenment is that, in all the traditions and considered, and this as the key of all the teachings. And later on, from this a lamp on the path to enlightenment derived the name Lambrim, which means the greater path. So, when Atisha composed a lamp on the path to enlightenment in Tibet, so when he sent this very book to India, where Vikramashila, so the Panditas, which means scholars, they really get astonished and surprised by such a, you know, like text. And they said that if he happened to stay here and he didn't get the privilege and chance to compose such a wonderful, simple, precise, very meaningful kind of teachings. So because of he went to Tibet and he get such a privilege in teachings, and they said to him that, so please just write one auto commentary on that very text, you know, like a lamp on the path to enlightenment, then it's really benefit for us. So that's why we say that a lamp on the path to enlightenment is not only beneficial to the people of, you can say, Tibetans, and it's also beneficial to Indians too, like the Indians, Panditas. This is one of the, you can say, the special qualities of a lamb on the path to enlightenment.
So, Lamdo Sende, or partner, Yamati, Yena, using the Sanadam Sanjasala, Lambusheta, she Lam Chazan, to be honest.
So, and this is such a teaching that which is in the form of path. The path to what? Path to lead oneself to the enlightenment. So we used to call, it's called a path. What kind of path? Path which you can able to lead yourself to the enlightenment. A lamp on the path to enlightenment. Another name we just call a path. Path for what? Path to lead oneself to enlightenment.
다시 단다 좀바보 조진 게 다시 되지는 남자를 이거 손나는 데 김보 쉬고요 말. 다 된주 고라는 치고요 쉬나. 그 내가 지난 하고 싶은 이거는 쉐어를 써봐라는 지. 그러나 치와시나 자주스 이거는 쉐어를 써도 요임을. 시간 당은 좀 이거는 치와 시마 되지. 마셔도 스탑니다. 좀바보 치와 되도 당에 지난 남자는 transfer.
Actually, the major qualities of a lamp on the path to enlightenment was, already written in the, you can get in the, you can say, the lumbering, the graded path, but it has its own special, you can say, character of explaining its own teachings. So there are so many ways of explaining a lamp on the path to enlightenment. You can say the four greatness and so forth. And today, I would like to explain from, you can say, prospect. From explaining, I want to explain in, you can say, the four greatness, which was, you can say, you can find in the a lamp on the path to enlightenment.
That is your corona chivaleta, Majida, the Tagosum, Sierra Sobatan, the Chiwashi, the casual, she's casual from San Diego to sound yours.
So when we are writing this kind of text, they are very much different. It has its own sequence. It has its own, characteristics. Like we say, the greatness of this text, the clarity of this text, the uniqueness of this text. They are special sequence, when we write the text. So,
that's why she didn't chiwa tampa in the Kalamata was Chiwas Doran, that was Julia, Saturn, I don't know about that. So much energy because of that comes out, 6 to the Sayana, or get like the mother and came to work. The bottom and came to she was in Europe, came into
So I really start to, you can say, explaining the four greatness of this text. So the first one is that to understand the text without any contradictory, to understand the text without any contradictory, and this is the first greatness of this text.
Data Tiba Dogma Kadine, Kasha Lamji, Kaya Lamji Yala, Sustain by Yamsu language, Jayamato, Yamsu Lema, over you can nothing to Porto Marachale. That director and any Yamis because of K2 or even in the Matas given to Shiva Science.
So why is called, you can say, greatness, the greatness of the first greatness, there are 4 different kinds of greatness. So first one is the greatness of, there's no contradictory in understanding the text, scripture, scriptural text. So for that, why he said that this greatness, because of that, so it categorizes all the, because the quality of Sutra and Tantrayana, and all the measured theme teachings of Sutrayana and Tantrayana. That's why we call disciples. That's why we call the, you can say, greatness of you can say the way there's no contradictory in understanding the scriptural texts.
That's what I'm going to do. She wasn't your bed. No, the London Daniel sort of Duma and the Zin and bed, when you mention a Daniel imagine or 2 words. So the best thing and mention a Daniel imagine. Lambran Yansolana, there was no ready by country Dana, the one at the National Project in Yamina to kill to gadgets. Lalan to care to
the second greatness of this teaching is that once you practice any kind of scriptural text, any kind of sutra, any kind of tantra, and once you practice it, and it's really and once you practice this, and it's really benefits, and it really, you can say, energizing to you. I mean, it's really benefits, and it really, it's really beneficial to you.
근데 단 동화로서 봐 지리야 누가 고만해서 돌아버리는 거 고만해서 노던 동화 사랑해서 받는데 아디가 나도 처방 걸려야 돌아서 상만 보고 그런 대의만 인상 예제 좀 보러 가거든
신보들어 예제 좀 보러 오늘로
안 가던 거 봐.
안 가. 예제 좀 보러 안 가고 예제 좀
예제 좀 처방 걸려야 돼 사장 가고 저도 직방이야 지금 그래서 가고 봐. 나라 때는 도 고만 돌아 때는 도 고만해서 사장지 열어 봐. 사장한테 가서 그 방사시아도 처방을 내라. 어떤 일이 전부 사.
The third greatness of this text is that you can say to stop oneself to fall into the, you can say, to stop, you can say, to cease the oneself to commit the, you can say, immeasurable crimes. Immeasurable crimes. Yeah. Immeasurable crimes.
제가 공부하더라도 니에 봐서 여기 시발이
Pardon?
제가 공부하더라도 니에 봤어.
제가 공방?
제가 공방.
The fourth greatness of this teaching is that, and it remains, and it restrains, or it remains the, you can say, the thoughts of the Buddha as it is.
제가 공부하서는 다 제가 공부하듯 가린 얘기 알았으나 술에 자주 따변나냐 나도 람송나서 봐. 그봐 람이 좋아하나 봐 송나서 봐도 너거나 했어요. 되게 나도 길게 두고 니고 제가 공부하더라 니에 봤어.
So why we say that the fourth quality, it remains the thoughts of Buddha as it is that here thoughts refer to, you can say, like 3 principles of path. So 3 principles of path which consider as a jewel, so precious jewel. So precious jewel and precious jewel. So why we call jewel? So why it's called jewel? Because we consider it's so precious. Why it's precious is rare to get. So likewise, the thoughts of Buddha is something like a precious jewel. It's really rare to get and really meaningful and beneficial to us if we practice. So that's why we say it remains the thoughts of Buddha as it is.
그래서 산재 공부를 하는 산재의 최영을 때는 남줄이 하는 남주조 결혼하는 선배 두고는 되어 어디가 나도 제가 인상 제가 공부하더라고요.
So why we call that is the fourth greatness, it remains the thoughts of Buddha as it is because of that. So Buddha has such a mind that I wish all those sentient beings can understand what I feel and what I'm saying. If they understand what I'm saying and what I feel, and they can, you can say, away from this kind of sufferings and hardships. So that's why we say that it restrains the thoughts of Buddha as it is, or remain.
제가 아는 시가 라들랑 때고 관사책에 배 상기가 남지를 맞춰가 막 걸음 맞추고.
And it is also very easy to handle. You can say it's very easy to practice if one is happen to be or wish to be practice it, and it's because for that, and one needs to be very much strict about the thoughts of Buddha carefully. If we do it very carefully as accordingly the thoughts of Buddha, then it's very easy to practice it.
동아 연주가 연 주저 마상하면 사람들이